How's it going, everybody? Too Spooky here. And in this video today, we're going to be counting down 101 facts about Attack on Titan. This video was suggested by these lovely people right here. And I must say this is yet another video I've been wanting to make for a very long time. But since Attack on Titan's manga has recently made this series one of my all-time favorites, I just knew it was about time to make it happen. So thank you all so much for suggesting this video, and this one's going out to you. Before we get started, just note that this video will be focusing on anything Attack on Titan related, from the creator of the series, the manga, the anime, and more. So because of that, there will be a few spoilers for both anime and manga, but I will do my best to keep them to a minimum. Either way though, please proceed at your own risk. Additionally, the various pronunciations of names and phrases is also not my strong suit, so I will be butchering a few names throughout the video. But with all those precautions out of the way, let's jump right into it. Number 1. Attack on Titan, or as it's known in Japan, Shingeki no Kyojin, was created by Hajime Isayama as the first and so far only series to his name other than a couple one-shots. It has since become one of the best-selling manga series of all time, having sold over 80 million copies as of December 2018, with 88 million in circulation. At the time of making this video, there are currently 116 chapters and 28 volumes available. The manga itself began on September 9th, 2009. Number 2. Attack on Titan first began as a one-shot back in 2006, which Isayama made when he was only 19. Isayama submitted it to many contests and different publishers, before eventually deciding on Weekly Shonen Magazine in hopes to eventually get a serialization. He also once submitted this one-shot to Weekly Shonen Jump. However, the editorial department requested that he change the concept of the story and his overall style to more fit the shonen formula, which he ended up declining to do. When the one-shot was eventually released to the public, Isayama even stated that he created the manga back when he barely knew how to hold a pen correctly, and for that reason he isn't too satisfied with the results today, and greatly prefers the current version of the story. However, he hopes people still enjoy the origins of the series if they're able to look past the art. I personally think my man Isayama is being a little bit too hard on himself here, but I can certainly understand where he's coming from to an extent, because looking back at some of my first videos is absolutely nauseating. But that being said, the one-shot definitely seems rather amateur compared to the current masterpiece. But it's still interesting, and for the most part it follows the same narrative, but notable differences include that all Titans are immortal and all of them can shapeshift. Armin, Mikasa, and Eren are not present. The walls that protect humanity are instead just really big trees that form a wall, and Titans have a nucleus somewhere on their body, which is apparently the only way to kill them, similar to the nape. If you're a big fan of the series, I recommend you give it a read, as it's always interesting to see where a series originally came from. Number 3. As far as the creator, Hajime Isayama goes, like we stated in the beginning, Attack on Titan is basically his only series thus far, aside from 2 other one-shots being Heartbreak 1 and Oars. It's extremely rare for mangaka to get a huge hit as their first and only series, so needless to say he's doing pretty well for himself. Isayama was born on August 29th of 1986, making him 32 years old at the time of making this video. It's safe to say he's wanted to pursue manga since he was younger, as it was in high school that he began submitting his various manga works in different competitions, along with enrolling in a manga design program once he graduated from high school. He would then go on to submit his one-shots to various publishers from 2006 to 2008, winning multiple awards along the way. Attack on Titan would then be serialized in Basatsu Shonen Magazine, where it has remained ongoing to this very day. The final thing to mention would be that he is also married, having gotten married secretly in 2018. Number 4. As I'm sure most of you are aware, Attack on Titan would then get its own anime adaptation, which helped it skyrocket even further into popularity. The first episode of the anime aired on April 7th of 2013, and is still ongoing to this very day. In fact, Season 3 Part 2 will begin later this month on the 28th. And as a manga reader myself, I can assure you that things are gonna get wild. The anime is also brought to us by Wit Studio. Number 5. In addition to the anime and manga, Attack on Titan also has multiple spin-off series. It has 3 light novels, which are Before the Fall, Harsh Mistress of the City, and Lost Girls. Lost Girls in particular has also been adapted into a few OVA anime episodes. For spin-off manga, we have 5 different ones. We've got Junior High, which is basically a chibi parody of the series, that also got adapted into its own 12-episode anime. Before the Fall, which was adapted from the light novels, No Regrets, which focuses on Levi's character, and was also adapted into 2 OVA anime episodes, Spoof on Titan, which is another parody, and Lost Girls once again, which was also adapted into a manga from the light novel. So if the main series wasn't enough for you, there's plenty of other media that you can dive into. Number 6. The series has also had 3 different anime films thus far. Attack on Titan Part 1, Crimson Bow and Arrow, which came out November 22nd of 2014, then Attack on Titan Part 2, Wings of Freedom, which came out the following year on July 27th of 2015. And finally the 3rd film, Attack on Titan The Roar of Awakening, which came out January 13th of 2018. Number 7. If you wanted even more Attack on Titan than this, the series was also adapted into 2 live-action films and 1 live-action miniseries. The 2 films came out in 2015, on July 14th and September 19th respectively. The first part is simply named Attack on Titan, while the second is named Attack on Titan Part 2, End of the World. Needless to say, the films are both rather questionable, but it's up to you if you decide to check them out. Then the live-action miniseries, which was titled Attack on Titan Counter Rockets, consisting of 3 30-minute episodes that came out on August 15th of 2015 as a prequel to the first film. On the note of live-action anime adaptations, let me take a second here to self-promote. I've recently started a series called Manga vs. Movie on the channel where we compare the manga to the live-action adaptation to find the very best and absolute worst manga adaptations out there. There will be a link in the description if you want to check the series out after the video is over, and while I won't be getting to it for a little while, I eventually plan on tackling the Attack on Titan films as well, so once again, feel free to check that out. Number 9. On the topic of live actions, back in 2017, it was reported that Warner Bros. Was in talks to secure the rights to an American remake of the Japanese live action films. However, the following day, these reports were denied completely, which to many of you may sound like we dodged a bullet. However, back in late 2018, it was announced that the rights were actually acquired by Warner Bros., and Andy Muschietti, the director of the recent It remakes, was selected to direct the Attack on Titan live action. Any other information on when to expect these films or even when the production is going to start is unknown, so you can expect a Hollywood adaptation of Attack on Titan in the future. Number 10. In addition to movies, there's also been multiple video games based on the series, most notably Attack on Titan Humanity in Chains, which came out for the 3DS, and then Attack on Titan and Attack on Titan 2. The first game came out for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, Xbox One, and PC back in 2016, while the second game came out for PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch in 2018. Both games also sold rather well, with fairly positive reviews for the most part. However, the same cannot be said for the 3DS game. Number 11. When it comes to how Isayama came up with his idea for the Titans, he stated that he came up with the idea while working at an internet cafe before becoming a mangaka. One day he had to deal with a very drunk customer, and from that situation he was inspired by the lack of the ability to communicate with this person, even though they were the same species as him, and thought at that moment that the most familiar and scary animal in the entire world is actually humans. And when it comes to drawing the Titans, he also looks at an expressions reference book to exaggerate their expressions while still keeping them familiar and human-like. He was additionally influenced from alien monsters from a unspecified video game, and thought it would be more interesting if these alien monsters ate the humans in the game instead of just killing them. And with those two influences, the Titans were born. Number 12. In addition to the previous fact, Isayama has modeled many of the different Titans after various acquaintances, friends, and even family, to the point where he's also been known to take requests from them. Now, to take that even further, Isayama has also modeled a few of the Titan shifters off of various UFC and WWE stars, namely Eren's Attack Titan, which is based off UFC fighter Yushin Okami, mainly because he wanted to give the Attack Titan a body that looked prime for various martial arts, whereas the Armored Titan was based off of Brock Lesnar from WWE, looking to make him appear much more bulky and tanky in comparison. Number 13. For the final fact about Titans being based on people, in the anime, one of the Titans is actually based off of Isayama himself, which is thanks to director Tetsuro Araki. Number 14. As far as Isayama's personality goes, he stated that he's essentially the polar opposite of Eren Yeager, and he further commented that for that reason, Eren was incredibly hard for him to write for about the first 4 volumes of the series. That being said though, he also claims he didn't truly understand Eren's character until he heard Yuki Kaiji's performance as Eren in the anime. Number 15. Although he doesn't share many personality traits with Eren, Isayama did give Eren one of his childhood dreams. No, not the one about killing all the Titans, but instead the one about going outside of the walls. As a kid, Isayama lived in a rural Japanese town that was surrounded by mountains on almost all sides. And as a kid, he eventually dreamt of seeing what exactly lay on the other side of those mountains, and therefore made it one of his goals to find out. This memory is initially what gave Isayama his idea for the series as a whole, and the mountains later became the walls that Eren and his friends are trapped behind within the manga. Number 16. After the initial success of the manga, Isayama recalled a time when he got a phone call from the bank, questioning him on why he had so much money in his account, as that was very unusual activity considering his financial past. Isayama explained the situation to them, but at the time he believes that the bank probably thought he was running some sort of scam. So bottom line, if your bank calls you because you have too much money in your account, you've officially become successful. Number 17. When it comes to designing characters, Isayama stated that first and foremost, he considers what kind of facial or physical feature is most interesting and attention-grabbing. After that, he observes their outer appearance and asks himself, what would the character be like if they had this kind of personality, or that one? For example, a person with an evil glint in their eye corresponds with someone with a twisted personality, so something like that. He additionally tries his best to create memorable faces, which he sometimes finds inspiration for by watching various shows or films. Number 18. In the first 2 popularity polls for the series, Levi had taken first place for both, with 3,952 votes in the first and 10,420 votes in the second. As for second and third place, Eren came in second place in the first poll and Mikasa came in third. But when it comes to the second popularity poll, Eren dropped to third place, being overtaken by Erwin. Then in the third and currently final popularity poll, Erwin knocked Levi out of first and took that place for himself with 2,055 votes. Levi came in second with 1,316 votes and Hanji came in third with 677, pushing Eren down to fourth place. Number 19. In addition to the last fact, when it comes to character popularity, Isayama expected Levi to become somewhat popular based on how he designed him with his cool yet relatable attitude. But at the same time, he expected Eren to be a lot more popular than he actually is. Even though he is still in the top 3 for most readers based on those polls, I guess he just expected him to be a lot more popular than that. Number 20. After initially creating the Attack on Titan one-shot back in 2006, Isayama claims that he kinda forgot about it until a few years later when his editor suggested he revisit it and turn it into a serialization. So to develop the whole story and the universe of Attack on Titan, Isayama spent 6 months fleshing everything out, including having an ending in mind before he even began. Which I personally think is a great idea, as fleshing out an entire universe before getting started is a great way to avoid plot holes and inconsistencies among other things, and also keep you on track from start to finish. As for instance, Kishimoto, the mangaka who created Naruto, was notorious for just making things up as he went along, or introducing things that he wouldn't have an explanation for until much later, resulting in multiple plot holes that he struggled to fix later on. Number 21. Isayama claims that if he were to live within the Attack on Titan universe, he would likely just be a farmer living on the outskirts of the wall, just planting his crops and getting by, mainly because he could never see himself being a soldier. Number 22. Out of all the manga Isayama has read, he claims that Arms, or Project Arms, by Kyoichi Nanatsuki, is the manga that's had the most influence on him personally. Number 23. When it comes to Isayama's monthly schedule for chapters, as they do come out monthly if you weren't aware, he spends about a week on the storyboarding and name, and then spends the remaining 3 weeks drawing the entire thing. Number 24. Back in 2015, Universal Studios in Japan had its own Attack on Titan attraction, including large statues of Eren and Annie fighting in their Titan forms, the Armored Titan, and even the Smiling Titan, so you could find out exactly what it was like to get eaten like Eren's mother. On top of that, this attraction is actually coming back to Japan this year in celebration of Season 3 Part 2 coming out later this month. Number 25. Attack on Titan did an official comic crossover with Marvel back in 2014, which was titled Attack on Avengers. It featured a bunch of regular Titans, the Armored Titan, the Female Titan, and the Colossal Titan from the manga side, and on Marvel's side it featured the Avengers, including Spider-Man, and Guardians of the Galaxy members. This comic also marked the first official manga comic crossover for Marvel ever, and the first official crossover for Attack on Titan. This comic is actually free to read on Marvel's website if you want to check it out. Number 26. Isayama originally thought Attack on Titan would end around volume 20. However, we are way past volume 20 at this point, and he now theorizes that it will end around volume 30 or 31.
The end is near.
Number 27. According to Isayama, he wasn't very proud of the work he did from volumes 13 to 16, and also found that the most difficult period for him to write, mainly because it centered around human-on-human conflict rather than human-on-Titan conflict like it had previously, which was apparently a struggle for him to get used to, and he feels his work suffered because of that. These chapters have since been adapted in Season 3 of the anime, and needless to say, with his input on things he wanted done differently for the anime adaptation, he believes the anime corrected the mistakes he felt he made during that period of the manga. Number 28. All of the walls protecting humanity are exactly 50 meters tall. Number 29. Based on the statistics from the Attack on Titan guidebook, Hanji and Zeke are the two smartest characters in the series. Number 30. Do you remember Marco from Season 1? Well, a fun fact about him would be that his birthday is June 16th, which is essentially almost exactly the halfway point of a full year. And when Marco was killed by Titans, he was bitten in half. Coincidence? I think not. Number 31. While he isn't his favorite character, Isayama has a great deal of respect for Armin. From the beginning, he purposely wanted to make him a much more human character that the average everyday person could relate to, comparing him to characters like Matahachi from Vagabond or Usopp from One Piece, in the fact that they are very normal human characters compared to the superhuman characters around them in their respective universes. And at the same time, since they are a normal person, it also gives the creator of these characters someone to relate to the most. Although at the same time, since Isayama has since made Armin a very smart and tactical character, he feels he might not be the most relatable character to most people anymore. Number 32. Hanji's gender is technically unknown. This is because Isayama wanted to leave the gender up for interpretation from reader to reader, even saying that either one is fine. He also instructed his editor to make sure that all translations left the gender unconfirmed, and because of that, all official translations have removed all gender pronouns related to him/her. The anime, on the other hand, has depicted Hanji as a female regardless of this. Number 33. Mikasa was the first character Isayama came up with when initially developing Attack on Titan.
Number 34.
Keith apparently remains single for a specific reason, according to Isayama. That reason being because he doesn't believe he deserves any happiness after sending so many people to their death under his command. It's probably the most heartbreaking thing I've ever heard in my life. Number 35. Levi is able to handle his alcohol. Basically what I mean by that is no matter how much he seems to drink, he never gets drunk. Number 36. Although Annie is considered one of the more quiet characters in the series, she apparently has a habit of sleep talking. In particular, she has dreams about kicking trees, and while she does, she murmurs, whoosh in her sleep. Number 37. In the past, Isayama has stated that Jean is his favorite character. However, in more recent interviews, he stated that Reiner has since become his favorite character. Number 38. Sasha's character was named after Sacha Baron Cohen, whom you might know is the comedian responsible for movies like Bruno and Borat. The reason for this namesake was because he knew Sasha was going to be a comic relief character, for the most part. Number 39. Isayama's editor revealed in an interview back in 2013 that Isayama originally wanted Eren to have known about his Titan powers the entire time. However, he eventually scrapped that idea for unknown reasons. Number 40. Attack on Titan has its own line of perfume. Each one is based on a different character and is supposed to invoke a scent that's reminiscent of that character's personality traits. The scents available are based on Eren, Mikasa, Levi, Erwin, Armin, Jean, and Hanji. Number 41. When it comes to more Attack on Titan products, back in 2015 there were also official replicas of the 3D maneuver gear available for purchase. Although they would cost a pretty penny, at 107,784 yen or 1,018 US dollars. They were also purely made for looks, as they did not contain the ability to potentially zip around like they do in the anime. Number 42. As far as other Attack on Titan merchandise goes, Eren and Levi were the first characters to get officially licensed body pillows released of their characters. Many other characters have since suffered the same fate. Number 43. Back in 2014, Isayama joked that Armin was the girl Mikasa got along with the best, which naturally confused a lot of people because it's already a big question to many if Armin is in fact a male character. Because it caused so much confusion, Isayama later came out and confirmed that Armin is indeed a male character. Number 44. Kenny's character was apparently partially based on Trevor Phillips from Grand Theft Auto 5, which means that Isayama is an epic gamer. Very cool. Number 45. Becoming a Titan is technically a way to prolong one's life. And no, I'm not talking about the Titan shifters because they die after 13 years, but rather the pure Titans. This was mainly demonstrated with Ymir, whom was stuck in a Titan form just wandering the land for upwards of 60 years. Then, eventually once she chomped down on Marcel and stole the Jaws Titan's power, she was able to transform back into her human form, which hadn't aged a day since she turned into a Titan. However, now that she was back in a human form, she aged like normal once again. So if you wanted to prolong your life and live for quite a long time, all you need to do is become a Titan and aimlessly wander the world, eating every single person you come across on the way. Number 46. After the immense popularity of Season 1, it's no exaggeration to say that the expectations for Season 2 were at an all-time high. However, as I'm sure all of you know, Season 2 wouldn't actually come out for years to many fans' dismay. The reason that it took so long, especially when it was announced shortly after Season 1, was simply due to the fact that the studio didn't want to catch up too quickly to the source material, which I certainly respect them for waiting, because I think we all know how easy it would have been for them to just shove filler after filler down our throats. So essentially, the studio waited a few years for the manga to get ahead. Number 47. Mikasa's name comes from the Japanese battleship Mikasa, and the reason Isayama chose this name for her was because he felt at the time that female characters named after battleships seemed to stand out. Examples being Misato Katsuragi and Risato Akagi from Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Yugi Nagato from The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Number 48. When Titans were still roaming rampant outside of the walls, the southern region of the walls were the areas that Titans targeted the most, making them the most undesirable places to live within the walls, while the north side had very little Titan activity, therefore making it the most sought-after area to live, although the center was still the place you wanted to be. Sasha's character was not only originally going to be named Ymir, but she was also essentially supposed to be Ymir's character as a whole. Isayama ended up changing this later on because he realized he didn't want Ymir to be in the top 10 graduates of the training corps. And since he had already decided Sasha was a character who needed to be in the top 10, he decided he needed to create a completely different character to be Ymir. And so, that's how Ymir's character came to be, and how Sasha became her own individual character. Oh hey, we're basically at the halfway point. So, buy my merch? It's really spooky. Okay, we can resume the facts now. Number 50. Levi wishes that he was taller. For context, Levi is 5 foot 3 inches tall or 160 centimeters tall. Number 51. For more facts about height, Mike was the tallest known character in the series. Was because he's frickin' dead. Since then, a new tallest character has been introduced, or rather, he's been around the whole entire time. We just didn't know his height until recently. That character being Keith, who stands at 6 feet 6 inches tall or 198 centimeters tall. Number 52. When it came to developing the Colossal Titan, Isayama stated that he came up with the idea by practicing his drawing in a 30-second drawing app that was made for practicing your drawing with the human body. And what he originally came up with was a very tall Titan with a stone-like body that had teeth growing all over it. And he originally wanted to use this design within the manga. However, he later thought it would be much cooler if he took the same design and changed the stone and teeth to muscles instead. Hence, the Colossal Titan was born. Number 53. While we never got to see Armin's parents in the manga, we did get a sketch of their appearances in the Attack on Titan encyclopedia. With that in mind, the only thing we know about them would be that they both wanted to desperately escape the walls and created a hot air balloon or some sort of airplane to do it. However, upon their attempt to escape, they were shot and killed by military police. Number 54. When it comes to the 104th Training Corps, Eren has the record for the most Titans killed. However, he's only actually killed one with his 3D maneuver gear, and instead killed the rest while in his Titan form. On the other hand, Mikasa holds the record for the most Titan kills without Titan powers within that squad. Number 55. It is possible for all 9 Titan shifters to be owned by a single person at once. However, what happens when that person dies is still a mystery. Number 56. When it came to designing Reiner's character, Isayama stated that he took the eyes and eyebrows of David Beckham and put them on Matt Damon's body, specifically Matt Damon during his role in Saving Private Ryan. Number 57. In Isayama's blog, he revealed that many of Levi's personality traits are based on Rorschach from the Watchmen comic series. And when it comes to Levi's namesake, his name comes from one of the people featured in the American documentary Jesus Camp. Bless that Christian boy. Number 58. In addition to the last fact, aspects of Erwin's character were based on Ozymandias from the Watchmen comics as well. Number 59. Zeke's first appearance was actually in a sketch revealed in a museum. Isayama gave a sketch of Zeke to the Uno Park Royal Museum in Tokyo, which was put on display before Zeke was officially revealed in the manga. Number 60. In a question and answer segment in a magazine, Isayama revealed that the people in the Attack on Titan universe don't have the best hygiene habits, in the fact that they only shower a few times a week, if even that. This is partially because natural body odor is considered pleasant within their culture, and this fact probably contributes to Levi's cleaning habits. Number 61. In the first half of 2014, Attack on Titan passed up One Piece for the best-selling manga during that period. One Piece has since retaken that title for the following periods and remains the best-selling manga series of all time, but this was notable at the time because One Piece had held the #1 spot of yearly sales since 2009, and this was the first and only time it's ever been passed up. During that period from November of 2013 to May of 2014, Attack on Titan sold 8,342,268 copies, while One Piece sold 4,936,855 copies, so it wasn't a slim margin by any means. Like I said though, One Piece came back for first in the following period and hasn't been beaten again ever since. Number 62. During Peak's debut as the Cart Titan, Isayama originally designed her to instead be a middle-aged old man. However, for whatever reason, he later decided to redesign her as a young adult woman. Number 63. Due to the fact that Levi and Mikasa are essentially half Eldian and half Asian, it's unknown if they would be able to wield Titan powers. This mainly comes from the information that those of the Ackerman bloodline are apparently the byproduct of human Titan experiments. While we don't know what these experiments entailed exactly, this is essentially the reason that both Levi and Mikasa are so powerful compared to your average soldier, and could potentially have some sort of Titan strength in them from the start. But because we we don't know anything about these experiments or if hybrid races can even wield Titans to begin with, the possibility is still up in the air. So unfortunately, you probably won't be seeing Titan Levi or Mikasa anytime soon. Number 64. Attack on Titan is one of the many anime that are banned in China, because the government there claims that shows like this one encourage juvenile delinquency, glorify violence, and include sexual content. Number 65. In a fake preview for Volume 19, Isayama drew Jean getting devoured by that really derpy looking Titan. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. However, like I said, this was fake, and instead just a prank by Isayama. However, you anime-only watchers will be sad to know that Jean has since died. Ha! Just kidding, he's alive and well!
Oh my dude, you just got pranked! Bet you didn't see that one coming, huh?
Number 66. Apparently Levi's design came about while Isayama was just doodling, and once it started to come together, he knew that he had something special. In particular, wanting to craft him similar to the likes of Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, while also finding inspiration from Astro Boy and Kyozo from the film The Seven Samurai. Number 67. Like we mentioned earlier, Isayama has a previous one-shot called Heartbreak 1. And while this may not be intentional, Historia does look strikingly similar to one of the characters in it, and could therefore be based off of that character. Number 68. Believe it or not, Kenny Ackerman weighs the most out of every other character in the series, at least the ones we know the weight of. Coming in at 265 pounds or 120 kilograms. Number 69. When asked about Eren's feelings for Mikasa in the past, Isayama stated this: for Eren, rather than a lover, Mikasa's presence is more like a mother to him. The love towards a mother is considered precious, however, at the same time, there are annoying parts as well. Just like towards one's actual mother, Eren will start to grow up when he becomes independent from Mikasa, and I might draw that scene one day. And as we recently saw in the manga only a few months ago, it looks like Isayama has finally drawn that scene for us. Number 70! In a somewhat related fashion to the previous fact, Isayama has also stated that he doesn't see Eren and Armin being best friends forever. And in that same sequence where Eren grew independent from Mikasa, he also seemed to end his friendship with Armin. So it looks like Isayama has been telling us the truth this whole time. Number 71. Because Sasha's love for food is infinite, to the point where her eating skills are even enough to turn an enemy over to the other side, Isayama has informed us that there is in fact not a single food that Sasha dislikes. Number 72. When giving out his signature, a lot of times Isayama will draw a chibi Mikasa with a thumbs up next to it. Number 73. All the way back in 2010, before Attack on Titan really made it big, Isayama made a blog post about Pixis' inspiration as a character, which came from Akiyama Yoshifuru, who was a general in the Imperial Japanese Army. Isayama said further that he respects him for leading such a simple and frugal life. Because Yoshifuru could be considered a somewhat controversial figure, Isayama then began receiving death threats for people who strongly disliked Yoshifuru. And as far as we know, these death threats could still continue to this very day. Number 74. The band Veil of Maya has a song called Mikasa, which was based off of Mikasa from Attack on Titan, of course. While that's interesting enough by itself, this song is also the band's most popular song on Spotify, with over 10 million plays. Number 75. Falco was apparently based on Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad, according to Isayama.
But is his name based on Falco from Star Fox?
Well, probably, but that's never been confirmed.
So you heard it here first. Falco's name was inspired by Falco from the Star Fox series.
I didn't say that though.
Shut up! Let me have this.
Number 76. In the first opening of the series, at one point there's a soldier who does a flip of sorts with his 3D maneuver gear. Apparently that character was supposed to be some random no-name character that was supposed to represent humanity. However, so many people thought that character looked like Jean, that the production studio eventually went with the rumor and claimed it was true, even going as far as to have Jean perform that exact flip against the female Titan in a later episode. Number 77. It's been speculated for a while now if Ymir was romantically interested in Historia. And now we finally have the answer, which is yes, Ymir did have romantic feelings for her, but Ymir was devoted to her, and did everything that she could to both protect her and push her in the right direction. For instance, slacking off during training so Historia could graduate in the top 10 and live a better life by deciding where she wanted to go, along with also convincing her to drop her martyr attitude and instead embrace her true identity, whatever it may be. Number 78. Petra and Levi shared the record of most Titans killed, being 58 for the both of them. Although in Petra's case, she's only killed 10 on her own, and the other 48 were with support from her team. However, 48 with a team is a record by itself as well. Levi, on the other hand, has killed all 58 of his Titans on his own, giving him the solo record by far. And since these numbers were recorded a long while ago, Levi's kill count is easily above 100 by now. Number 79. The Founding Titan is the only Titan shifter that doesn't exactly have its own unique look, to the point where you couldn't really notice the difference between the Founding Titan or just a normal pure Titan. However, one potential way to tell it apart from the others would be the color of its eyes. Obviously, we can't really tell the difference in the manga, but in the anime, the Founding Titan was shown to change people's eye color, notably to a purple or blue color. Number 80. If everyone within the 104th Training Corps were to have an arm wrestling competition, Mikasa would come in first place. Number 81. Shortly after the reveal of the 9th and final Titan shifter, the Warhammer Titan, Isayama provided a small rough draft of the Warhammer Titan's head on his blog. Number 82. Gabby's design is apparently based on a female Eren Yeager design that Isayama made in the past. Number 83. Levi's age has never been confirmed. However, hints towards his actual age have been given in multiple interviews. First, it was known that he is older than 30. Then, it was updated to his late 30s. And then, it was finally retconned to his early 30s. As apparently in the interview where Isayama said that Levi was in his late 30s, he was rather nervous and accidentally made a mistake. Number 84. Because Isayama of course knew Bertolt was going to be the Colossal Titan from the beginning, he designed his appearance backwards. Basically, he took his design of the Colossal Titan and tried to design essentially what he thought the Colossal Titan would look like in human form, therefore giving Bertolt a longer face and also making him taller than the average character. Number 85. Back in a magazine interview, Isayama stated that the female Titan's measurements were as follows. Her bust is 860 centimeters, her waist is 660 centimeters, and her hips are 860 centimeters. And if you remove the zeros on those, you'll get Annie's actual measurements. Number 86. Isayama revealed that he has a body hair fetish, which could very well explain why he created the Beast Titan. Number 87. At the current point of the story, Historia and Zeke are the only remaining descendants of Ymir Fritz. Although if you count the unborn baby within Historia's belly, then there is also a third. Number 88. Back in 2017, there was going to be an Attack on Titan stage play touring across Japan. However, during rehearsals for said play, Kazutaka Yoshino, who was in charge of the acrobat equipment, was testing it to make sure all was in order. So he suspended himself all the way up in the air, and unfortunately, something went wrong as he fell to his death. This equipment was meant to be for the 3D maneuver gear in the play, and due to this unfortunate death, the play was cancelled before it ever debuted. Number 89. One thing in particular that doesn't make much sense to me is the female Titan, one of the 9 Titan shifters. The thing in particular that bugs me is the fact that it's officially called the female Titan. By that logic, does that mean that only female individuals are capable of using its powers? Because, for instance, what if a male character were to gain this shifter's abilities? Would it still look like a female? And for that matter, could it really still be called the female Titan? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but for now, we're gonna label this one the Trap Titan.
Number 90.
As far as where Attack on Titan takes place, it gets a little spoilery, but basically Attack on Titan takes place in a world very similar to ours, but not quite the same. Based on a map we saw in one of the chapters, our characters are located on Paradise Island, which is reminiscent of Madagascar, while Marley is reminiscent of Africa, with a history somewhat similar to Nazi Germany, or a better comparison would be reminiscent of the Rwandan genocide, namely between the Hutu Hutu, and Tutsi. So basically, Attack on Titan does take place in a world like ours if it were flipped upside down on the map. Number 91. Do y'all remember how Code Geass was littered with Pizza Hut advertising? Well, in Season 1, Episode 5, at exactly the 11:01 minute mark, you can see a Pizza Hut logo in the background, specifically in the left-hand corner. This is because during Attack on Titan's initial push into popularity, Pizza Hut was all about that Attack on Titan advertising, but at the same time, since Pizza Hut doesn't exactly exist within the Attack on Titan universe, they couldn't just put it in the show very much. But in general, the Pizza Hut advertising for Attack on Titan can also be seen with this ad involving the Colossal Titan. Number 92. Eren Kruger was the name of the man who originally held the Attack Titan's power from what we've seen. He was the one who saved Grisha and allowed him to enter Paradis by therefore giving him the power of the Attack Titan through consumption. Because of this, Grisha named his son Eren after him. Additionally, once Eren goes undercover in Marley, he calls himself Kruger in homage to him. Number 93. Once it was revealed in the manga that Eldians are essentially the Attack on Titan counterpart to Jews, there was a good deal of backlash from people claiming it was racist and anti-Semitic. But I guess that's just the outrage culture we live in, you know, what can you do? Number 94. Isayama is actually a huge fan of Game of Thrones, as he watched the entire series back in 2016 and recommended it to his fans on his blog thereafter, and he's even drawn some of the characters in his art style. The main reason I bring this up is because the first episode of the final season of Game of Thrones just aired a few days ago, and as a huge fan myself, I'm prepared to have my heart ripped out as the series comes to a close. It's also safe to say that Game of Thrones has potentially influenced Isayama in his storytelling. Number 95. Earlier this year, one of the editors for Attack on Titan, named Park Young-hwan, was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Why, might you ask? Well, apparently back in 2016, this guy killed his wife and tried to hide it as a suicide. Park was later apprehended in 2017 after police found evidence of strangulation on the body. And then he had his trial earlier this year where he received his sentencing. So I guess the moral of this fact is that you never really know which people in your life are actually capable of committing terrible crimes. As I'm assuming Isayama worked with this man for years, and likely still worked with him after he committed his crime since he wasn't arrested until the next year. Pretty scary to think about. Number 96. In a somewhat recent documentary piece back in November of 2018, Isayama revealed to Japanese audiences that it's becoming increasingly more difficult for him to draw Attack on Titan, mainly due to the high expectations of pleasing the fans, something he claimed he wasn't afraid of in some of his early interviews. Because he's been struggling so much to meet deadlines, when the documentary crew asked him if he wanted to draw something else after Attack on Titan, Isayama stated that he did, but he doesn't know if he'll be able to, simply because he doesn't know if he'll have the drive or motivation to actually see another series through. Either way, considering Attack on Titan is one of the most popular series of all time now, Isayama will be more than set for life at this point. So after he completes this amazing series, even though I would love to see him do something else, I hope he takes a good long rest before deciding if he actually wants to. And if he decides he doesn't, well, that's okay too. Number 97. One of the things that may seem like a plot hole would be Eren getting consumed by the Santa Titan back in Season 1. The reason this is regarded as a plot hole is because we eventually learn that Titans are actually people, and while a person is in their pure Titan form, their instincts force them to go after regular humans to eat them, even though Titans don't have a digestive system. The reason these Titans are programmed to go after people is because they have a slim chance of eating someone with Titan shifter abilities, and consuming the Titan shifter would therefore give them the Titan shifter abilities, allowing them to transform back into a regular human. So the TLDR is that Titans go after humans to try to go back to normal. So with that knowledge, the Santa Titan should have become a Titan shifter after consuming Eren, right? Because Eren is a Titan shifter. So why the hell was Eren able to survive being eaten like that? Well, the obvious answer is plot armor and plot convenience, but the actual reason for this does make sense. To sum it up, the key to Titan shifter abilities lies within an individual's spinal fluid, and when the Santa Titan swallowed Eren, he only bit off Eren's arm, and then swallowed him whole. So because he didn't bite into Eren's spine, he didn't gain Eren's shifter ability. So moral of this fact, always chew your goddamn food. But on a side note, can you imagine how sad it must have been for this poor sap to have finally found a Titan shifter after countless years just wandering around as a mindless Titan? Just to screw up the one chance you had at going back to being a regular person? Brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it. Number 98. Sasha was originally supposed to die all the way back in Volume 9, specifically Chapter 36. However, once Isayama's editor at the time received the manuscript depicting her death, he was apparently so upset that he went into a nearby bathroom and cried. And because of that, his editor was able to persuade him to keep her alive. And so he did. However, unfortunately, all that editor did was prolong her inevitable demise, as she has since bit the bullet. And no, this one is not a prank. Can I get an F for Potato Bay in the comments, please? Thank you. Number 99. Attack on Titan has had numerous acts of foreshadowing for various events. One of my personal favorites being a small hint we were given early in the first season. In that, we get to see that Grisha, Eren's father, is crying with some sort of syringe, planning to give Eren an injection to forget these events, other than the fact that he needs to hold on to this key and take it back to the cellar in his former home, as that contains the truth. After that, Grisha is just gone. Now obviously at the time, these things are all mysteries to us, but later we eventually learn how important all this information was to the story, and how that injection was actually a lot more important than you'd think. I won't spoil what happens if you don't know, but foreshadowing like this can be found all throughout the series, but this one is my favorite because of how early it occurred and how important it was to the overall story. Number 100! As another example of this foreshadowing, Eren's mother, Carla, was devoured by the Smiling Titan all the way back in episode or chapter 1. We would later find out that the Smiling Titan was actually Dina Fritz, Grisha's first wife. So essentially, Grisha's first wife devoured his second. Now the moment that you've all been waiting for, number 101. At this point, it's not much of a secret that the manga is currently in what will be its final arc. So if you didn't know, Attack on Titan's ending is closer than you think. But with that said, I'd still say it has about a year or two left. Regarding the ending itself though, back in 2013, Isayama mentioned in an interview that he originally planned to end the series in a way that's reminiscent of the movie The Mist. Now, I've personally already seen The Mist, so I know exactly what he's referring to. But basically to sum it up, in that movie, The Mist itself contains many different otherworldly monsters, some of them small, and some reminiscent of the Titans themselves. The main character, his son, and 3 other characters try to escape the mist by driving as far as they can in a vehicle. However, they eventually run out of gas and remain stranded within this misty hellhole surrounded by God knows what. So because everything looks so bleak and there appears to be no hope for survival, the main character and the other characters in the vehicle decide it's best to kill themselves instead of being ripped apart by whatever lies within the mist. The only issue is there is 5 of them, and their gun only has 4 bullets. So the main character decides to be the one to pull the trigger on the others and stay behind to get killed by the monsters. So he kills the other 3 in the car and also kills his own son. He then gets out of the car screaming to get the monster's attention, as now that he's killed his own kid, there's no going back. And he's clearly in a lot of pain over what he just did, rightfully so. But as he stands there waiting, the mist suddenly disappears, and the army rolls in to clean up the mess, meaning our characters were only moments away from safety. But because they didn't know that, and getting out of that situation seemed impossible, they instead opted for death. Now our main character is stuck in safety, living with the fact that he murdered his own son, let alone murdered other people. So it was a very morbid and unfortunate ending to say the least. So Isayama was planning to end Attack on Titan in a very similar and morbid note for that matter. But after seeing how popular the series had become, and how much people were falling in love with the characters, he instead decided he wanted to end it on a happier note, most notably similar to the likes of a Marvel movie like Guardians of the Galaxy. Although he also stressed the fact that these are just comparisons and the actual ending will be much different and up for him to decide. He was more or less just expressing how he's changed the way he views his story, and wanted to deliver an ending the fans can be happy about and satisfied with. So if it wasn't for our immense love of the series, it looks like things would have ended up quite badly for our beloved characters. Instead, we can expect things to conclude in a much less morbid way. But knowing Isayama, there's gotta be a catch. Regardless though, to me, Attack on Titan went from something that I thought was way overhyped in season 1, to one of my all-time favorite series that I would even dub a masterpiece. And no matter what happens at the end, I can say I've thoroughly enjoyed the ride thus far, and I'm excited to see Attack on Titan become a modern classic. But there you have it everybody, 101 facts about Attack on Titan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and hopefully you learned something new. If you did, we'll make sure to drop a colossal like on this video. Also be sure to subscribe with those notifications on so that you don't miss the next video like this one. And on that note, be sure to comment what you would like to learn 101 facts about next. Drop a follow on Twitter at 2SpookyTube to keep up with the channel. And be sure to pick up some of the new and extremely spooky merch we now have available. You can find links to all of that down below. Once again, I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video because I spent an incredible amount of time on this one between the research, the editing, you name it. So I appreciate you taking the time to check this one out today. Thanks for watching. Attack on Titan forever.